we're going rapid fire here. Let's head down to the SEC. Several more takeaways here. LSU got it done. I mean, hats off. They got it done. This stuff's not easy. It is not easy to win football games on the road. LSU was up 28-10 comfortably. They held on at Mississippi State to win 28-25. This is a game that's probably going to be forgotten a little ways down the road. Don't forget it. I don't know how the rest of the season is going to play out for LSU, but had they lost this game, it was going to be really bad down there. I mean, like changes coming, inevitably bad. And they won the game. So because they won it, everyone will forget. I don't forget that kind of stuff. Because I remember what we were saying going into the weekend, and I meant every word of it. So big win. Hats off to Ed Orgeron. Hats off to his staff. It was not an easy place to play by any stretch. But 28-10 became 28-25 really quickly there in the fourth quarter. They have some things to correct, but man, our assessment on this game was spot on. Really proud of the way the model responded. We had a 3-point LSU win. LSU wins by 3. And I remember talking about the game last week, and the reason there was so much trepidation in my voice about picking LSU is because I knew I couldn't count on their run game. And that was dead on the money. At no point this year will you be able to count on LSU running the ball. Yesterday, 27 times they tried to run it. They put 63 yards up. That is abysmal. That is an abysmal rushing performance. And it was up to Max Johnson, and it was up to their defense, and they got it done. And there are portions of that defense that are improving. So, again, give credit where it's due. Give Max Johnson credit where it's due. Mississippi State outrushed them. That's not necessarily something I thought I was going to be saying, but it's an LSU win, and that's all that counts right now. So they survive, and they go back home to face Auburn. Now, here's something to keep in mind for this week. LSU won the game, but their defense was on the field 88 plays. Auburn is in wounded animal mode. They had their pride tested this past weekend. They already came off a loss. They almost got beat by Georgia State. Some of you would argue they did. Kind of an Arkansas circa 2020 protocol there at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Far be it for me to question the SEC officiating crews, though. But now Auburn's going to go on the road, and that's a team that also LSU's not going to be able to run the ball on. And so LSU, unless they have a very efficient passing attack, you're going to have some short series that put your defense back out on the field, and that 88 plays defensed the week before could come into play Saturday. Keep an eye on that. Tennessee pushed Florida for a little while, but in the end it was Florida 38, Tennessee 14. The Xbox crowd was loud during this game, very loud. And here's what the Xbox crowd said. The Xbox crowd looked at Tennessee and Florida, and they said, oh, it's a 3-point game, it's halftime. What's wrong with Florida? Nothing is wrong with Florida. It's not Xbox, friend. These are real humans that are 7 days removed from playing the University of Alabama. Do you know what that does to most teams? Do you know what most teams look like the week after they play Bama? So let me get this straight. You're leading a team that is clearly putting everything and then some they have in the barrel into taking you down. Remember the LSU game last year for reference, if you've forgotten. And then you pull away in the second half. The Xbox crowd has no clue these games last 4 quarters, by the way. And so in the end, it's 38-14. Florida pitches a shutout in the second half. It's not easy to shut out this Tennessee offense. It may be not the biggest challenge in the world to beat the team. It's not easy to shut them out. And Florida did that. Emory Jones, I think, played the best game of his season. His play continues to get better. The offensive line paved the way for well over 300 and I think 30 some odd yards rushing. So it was a really good performance. I mean, I looked at it and then I compared it to what some of my Florida buddies were saying about the game. I thought we watched 2 different games. No, it wasn't perfect. No one plays perfect ever, much less the week after they almost beat Bama. Like, do you know what this should have looked like? This should have looked like you chewing your nails to the nub, sweating out a last-minute victory. That's really what it should have looked like. And instead, you ran away. Good for Florida. They're headed to Kentucky this week. Lined open around a touchdown. It's up to 8.5 right now. Gators favored in Lexington. Game on. Part of a loaded slate this week in the SEC. Oh, this is going to get somber really quick. Oh, boy. All right, well, I got chewed out because I didn't talk Georgia on the show last week. So quick recap of last week. Georgia beat South Carolina. Well, let's talk about it. I've got one of the more violent stats I will ever read to you. Georgia 62, Vandy nothing. That's not even the violent stat. That's just the score. The model loved Georgia in this game. On our Friday Night Lines Instagram live chat, I told you guys, one of you asked, what do you think about the Georgia game? I said, I'm not touching this. But I will tell you the model one of the strongest leans of the entire week was Georgia minus 35.5. I just don't lay 5 touchdowns in conference games. It just doesn't make sense to me. And then Georgia proceeded to cover in one quarter. And so I said, well, good for Georgia. Now, I stopped watching after that. I had other things to attend to, but it got way worse. So Vandy had 77 total yards of offense in this game. They didn't get close to triple digits. Let me tell you how bad this was. Are you ready for this? Now, I want whatever you're doing to just stop for a second, because I'm going to read something. And if you just let it blend in with all the other words coming out of my mouth, you may not realize what I've just said. So let's pause, whatever you're doing, stop washing the dishes, turn the radio down. Listen to this. This is a conference game, by the way. Georgia had more guys run for a touchdown than Vanderbilt had first downs. Let's pause. Let's let it sizzle. In an SEC football game, Georgia had more players run for a touchdown than Vandy had total first downs. For the record, that is a 5-4. Vandy had 4 first downs the entire game. So much for home field advantage. They, being Georgia, they welcome in Arkansas Saturday. 19.5-point favorites right now. A lot of you out there are looking at these Bama and Georgia spreads. Really excited to take those points. Okay. What do we have in here? Do we have someone who needs to get banned? Yes, we do. Put user in timeout. I'll police the chat if no one else will. How about Alabama 63, Southern Miss 14? Anyone take away anything from this? Probably not. You probably didn't watch the game. Alabama, in case you haven't noticed, has used an Ohio State transfer receiver better than Ohio State's using their own receivers that this guy presumably left because he couldn't get on the field enough. So Jamison Williams is a racehorse. He runs like a 3.940. He's insane to watch. Several times last night, these poor kids from Southern Miss had decent angles. Trying really hard, and it just looked like a carnival game. It looked like the rims were way too tight. There was no way they were going to make the shot. So Jamison Williams does what, if you're watching on YouTube, he's doing here right now. Ugly. Okay, well, I can't watch this. The parents of some of those players may be watching. But, man, how about Jaleel Billingsley? The sudden reemergence. It's like Toby Flanderson coming back from Costa Rica. Jaleel Billingsley has made a sudden and mysterious reappearance. The only difference is Bama fans are not distraught. They are very happy to see him back. And Nick Saban just kind of ho-humming his way through the first month of the season. We play a top 20 team to open. I'll probably use it to teach a player a lesson. Well, Jaleel Billingsley's back now. And Cam Latu's been filling in very well, too. So they got 2 legitimate receiver options. Cam Latu's a former linebacker, by the way. They just repurposed. And so now Alabama welcomes in Ole Miss. And Alabama opened as a big favorite. They opened at 20 at Circa. None of you got down money on Ole Miss plus 20. Don't lie and say you did. But even now, Ole Miss is available plus 15.5, 16, something like that. You going to go for it? We're going to predict the game Tuesday. I'm not telling you anything right now. You going to go for it? Be my guest. How about Kentucky? Kentucky was minus 3 turnovers, and they still beat South Carolina in Williams-Brice Stadium 16-10. It is hard to comprehend what I'm about to tell you. How about South Carolina? You're at home in a night game. You are plus 3 turnovers, and you have 3 drives start in plus territory, and you hang 10 on the board, a 10 spot. Could have done better. Would hope that they would do better, but they did not. It's also hard to comprehend that Kentucky is 4-0, despite the fact that they're minus 9 in turnovers on the year. None of this makes sense. None of what I just said makes sense. But yet that's where we are. And so Kentucky has found their way, despite, again, turnover margins that indicate they shouldn't be finding their way, and they've bought themselves time. And each week, you get a little bit more install, you get a little bit more gelling and rhythm together, and now their biggest test of the season so far arrives Saturday when the Kentucky Wildcats welcome in the Florida Gators. If you want to see stuff really get turned on its ear, have Kentucky beat Florida Saturday. Because that'd be the first really big one down here. Have them beat Florida Saturday, and then we can start talking about the SEC East upheaval. That's not a prediction. That was just a mere statement.